Hi, I'm Ellen Seigel. Welcome to Enlightening Conversations. I'm here today with my dear friend, Karen. We've been together since we were 17 as personal growth partners, sort of like leapfrogging our growth. Karen would go to workshops. She'd bring me awakening information, and I would share with her what I got from it, and then it would spark what she was going to get next. And so we've been doing this since we were 17. And we're up to now having the kinds of enlightening conversations that we've had for years, but we're going to have them so that you can use them to spark your own growth, affirm your own realizations, and you can use it to take you even further in your feeling good about yourself and creating the kinds of situations in your life that you would like to create. So, Karen, share a little bit about what brings you here and the kinds of experiences that enable you to talk about the topics of personal growth that we're going to discuss.
Okay. So, since we're 17, as you said, we have been growing together. I found that I loved helping people years ago. And when my children were little, their friends seemed to gravitate towards my home. The babysitters I had seemed to gravitate towards me and were getting something from just being with me, helping them. They all came from these dysfunctional homes and found safety in sharing with me and comfort. And just by my sharing with them, they were able to navigate. A lot of them were making changes. So it was like I had a round kitchen table. It was like the round table in Karen's kitchen. And then when my children were growing older, the teenage girls would come and to this day, they call me mom. They still contact me. So it seems my energies reach out to people who they gravitate towards me. So here I am, and to this day, whether it's the grocer guy in the vegetable department at a store that I food shop in, who is gravitating towards me, and I see his spirits lift in the face of me, where he comes over and gives me a hug in a grocery store. I've come to realize that something comes through me and it is helpful. I'm helping people. I say I'm a grassroots counselor and a life coach, spiritually based. I found spirituality as a very young child, and I'm still on that path, which I found I learned how to navigate through things, listen to my inner self, whether the world understood or not. And in my growth pattern with Ellen, I learned how to find joy through all kinds of things and happiness. And it comes through me, and people want what I have. And whether it's a friend or the grocer or the checkout lady, I love sharing with people and helping people. So that's how it is. I'm here with Ellen today and want to share what we've learned and what we keep learning as we're growing together. No matter what the picture may look like to others, it doesn't. I learned to look for the good in everything, and there is good in everything. So those who want to find that, they gravitate towards me.
That's great. That's great. And just that idea about, looking for the good, it's like we see what we focus on. So it's not easy for people who feel miserable or are stuck, but it's good to know that there are ways out of that. The other thing is, in my experience with you, Karen, in your life, we all have different life experiences. So for our audience to know that that you have navigated through many challenging experiences. I have too, just of a different nature. And so that always was magnetic to me, because we're both great problem solvers. And that's another thing that we do offer to people who come to us. For those of you who are watching, who are part of Karen's audience, who don't know me, I've been trained as a clinical social worker and have offered therapy for many, many years, and then broadened that work into spiritual life coaching. And, you don't even have to be spiritual. There's a way to work with your inner self. And we have ways to support you and expand that for yourself, because I am registered on a site called Secular Therapy, and people do find me and are inspired to do their personal work without seeing themselves as spiritual in any way. So that's an interesting point. I don't think I ever shared that with you, Karen. And the other thing was, a book came through me some years ago, Be Happy No Matter What, 5 Steps to Inner Freedom, which is available on Amazon. And so there's a website, BeHappyNoMatterWhat.com, where you can find some very deeply inspiring contemplative thoughts that are free. There's videos there that are free. This video channel, Enlightening Conversations, and then there's a podcast channel, Enlightening Realizations, that you can access on most podcast platforms. So that's a bit about me. So our topic today, what we thought, we have so many topics because we've been playing with things for so long in our lives together. So we thought we would start with the idea of reframing, and also I think it would be good if we each made some introductory comments about a way a person can work with themselves. And I don't know that we ever had this conversation, Karen, but we could share a little bit about how we work with ourselves. I could start us off with, I don't know when it was in our growth, and I can say we because we've shared this together. I don't know who it was that introduced us to the idea of the observing part of ourselves. That, for longest time, we're in the thick of experiences and, feeling like a victim of someone else's treatment, even in conversations. Someone else was teasing us or kidding us or not being nice to us, without a way to respond. Even without a way to look at what's happening. And I would say that was before I knew how to set boundaries with other people. It was before I knew a way to evaluate what I could do in a situation. I was overwhelmed with my feelings, like there's no way out. And when some teacher introduced us to the idea of that there's a part of ourselves that can observe what's happening, and that we could have a conversation with that part of ourselves, that really started me off on a productive way to assess what was going on within me and between other people. So that's sort of where it got started, to be able to have productive conversations with myself, and then to feed myself lots of personal growth information. And I would say that if you found this YouTube channel and our conversation, or if you know Karen and you know me, you've done some of that already, or have been attracted to us because some of that is of interest to you. And you're already furthering that part of your own development. So that's as much as comes to me to say about that. Karen, what would you say or add?
I remember when we learned about the witness, and I don't remember from where, but we called it the witness way back when we first learned that the observer could witness what was happening, which gave, for me, space instead of, they did this to me, I keep getting, now this one's doing this to me. Like you said, boundaries, I didn't have boundaries until we had a witness who we could talk to, who would say, this is what it looks like, and not get, it helped pull us out of getting lost in the feelings. At least for me, it did. It pulled me out of getting lost in that constant, oh my God, oh my God, oh my, or whatever it was. And that separation, well, what could I do to make it different? Make my life to whatever these situations were. And in that, then, of course, learning to be quiet enough to hear an answer, because there's an answer that comes with it. In my childhood, being raised, I had to have an explanation for everything. So I knew how to make excuses and reasons. So if I had,
because your mother demanded that you had an explanation.
My mother demanded. I mean, my mother demanded. She had to know why, what, where, when, and learning that I didn't have to explain myself to everybody. Giving them permission to then judge, was that good? Is it bad? I mean, there was so much going on. But by having the witness and learning, this is the way it is. And if it went against me, I couldn't do something. But until I learned to separate myself out, I followed that in a direction, but I always had angst around it. But this was a way to begin to still that. And by practicing, stepping back, and what do I need to say here? Do I need to say anything? I couldn't stop the blabber from coming out of my mouth. This allowed me to stop it and be still and then hear and realize I'm not responsible for what somebody else is experiencing. Responsible, that was the big thing, for what I'm experiencing. And yes, I did have a therapist who told me, Karen, you're so powerful. You make your mother feel this way. I go, I'm not powerful at all. Oh, yes, you are. Because my mother told me I made her happy. I made her. And then when I got that, I'm not responsible. I'm responsible for what I feel. I'm responsible, not the other person. Am I allowing them to affect me? I mean, this was eye-opening.
Huge.
And that kernel, to this day, I mean, it gets better and better the more years I practice it. But the beginning of that, to take back my own power and own myself, was like, what a gift, what a gift. And the witness can do that, because I have to witness myself now. I'm not focused on it. I'm like, what did I do? Do I want to change how I behave? That was the bottom line of this. I realized I had choices. And thank you, Ellen, because you taught me also how that I choose to be happy. I choose something else. We really choose what we feel.
And that is a great lead in to our subject today, reframing. So once we got all of that under our belt, and we can help you with that if that's ahead for you, all the things that Karen mentioned, the idea of witnessing, the idea of practicing witnessing, the idea of asking a question, the idea of getting quiet inside, the idea of following an inner direction, the idea of being responsible for ourselves and not for what someone else is feeling, and the reverse of that, not giving other people credit for our feelings, that we're responsible for ours. So just mention to any of you who want help with that part of growth, that we are both available, and our information will be at the end of this video, and you could contact either one of us or both of us for help with that. And we do like to work in tandem together, and that's a lot of fun for those of you who are interested in that. And we're both very soft and very clear. So I just wanted to say that. So that brings us to the idea of reframing. So reframing to me, and and then Karen, you'll share what it is for you, is the idea of seeing either what you're involved in, or something about yourself, or something you see on someone else, and maybe there's other things also, seeing things through, or people through another angle. Mm-hmm. First seeing them from another angle. And I don't know where this came to me from, that the idea, especially when you're stuck in a view, which we are, because we habitually view things in ways that we have since we were kids. And usually there's no one who's told us that we could see it in many different ways, and then we don't have to feel stuck or concluding things about others or ourselves that are erroneous, like wrong conclusions. So that someone gave me this idea that if you can see something in just one other way, you get to tell yourself that you're open-minded, and then you're open to see things in many different ways. And I always like to ask the witness in me, show me another way, or some part of us, inner self, wise self, whatever you want to call that. What's another way I could see this? And so it's a little bit like putting on a different lens to look through. And there's lots of beneficial effects that we can talk about later that come from being able to reframe your perception of something that you're experiencing. So that's sort of an introduction from my perspective. What about for you, Karen?
You said it very well. Reframing. When I think of that word, I think of a situation, and different things may come in, negative and positive. I'm thinking of a big trauma I experienced in my life right now. And there are people who I know have lived through certain traumas, and 20 years later, they're still bitter about it. But what I found was, yes, there was loss, there was grief, and there was another, because I have the witness by this point, I started to see wonderful things in this loss. And I could reframe, I'm going to say what it is, we can always change it. It was the loss of a child of mine. She passed at 23 from asthma. And people wanted me to be mad at God. Aren't you angry? I'm choked up now. Of course, I didn't want her. But she was a severe asthmatic. And I thought, thank you, God, my daughter's running around and she could breathe. She's not in the hospital with oxygen tanks constantly because she can't breathe. She was free. She was free. And I knew that. And I didn't think God took her from me. No, I don't know what commitment she made in this lifetime. But knowing that she was free of what she was living through helped me. I pictured her running around to this day. I experience her running around, breathing, happy. She's not entangled. And whatever her life was, I could understand how she left it early. She had a very difficult life.
Mm.
So, I mean, I'd cry a lot and then I go, why am I laughing? I'm supposed to be grieving and miserable, but I'm laughing. Mindy is, that's my daughter's name. Mindy is playful. So I reframed that grief that initially when I first heard the news and I fell to the ground. But when I reframed it, yeah, I went through my feelings, but my feelings didn't take me.
Mm.
I had feelings. The feelings didn't have me. That's what reframing means to me. I just said goosebumps. Okay, it's coming through me now. Reframing means I have the feelings, not giving my power away to the feelings and letting them decide how I'm going to live through this.
Mm. Mm.
So that seems to be, yes, you can reframe the most tragic things.
Mm.
Like, and in the world that I was growing up in, sounded like, and the habitual reactions, well, you should be mad at God. I got that a lot. Aren't you angry at God? God didn't do anything. God loves us. He didn't take my daughter from me. No, it doesn't connect because if I'm witnessing, it doesn't compute. So I was able to put on a different frame on that picture, not the one I was raised that was habituated all around me as this is what happens. So reframing is a great gift.
And you still got to go through grief and you still choke up and you still think of her and miss her. And that's different from losing yourself in the situation and the experience.
Yes.
You know, and I would say in your experience that happened pretty naturally. And it's from our natural experiences that you and I have shared over the years that we realized that a person can actually take the idea of reframing and put it on top of a situation that feels terrible, to use it to encourage yourself to continue to navigate through the situation.
Right.
You know, whether there's a light at the end of the tunnel or there's always something good that comes out of something awful. I'm sure a lot of those people who are watching us, those people, you people, watching us or listening to us have had experiences that were pretty awful. And then you noticed afterward that you learned certain lessons, or you wouldn't be the person you are today if you didn't have those challenges that you've navigated through. So that's a way sort of to make the most out of your growth. And there was another idea somebody gave us, is make whatever's happening work for you.
Yes.
So, you know, and there are situations where you may not have all the answers. So let it be okay that you reach out to someone else. You know, sometimes situations help us receive help where in the past we wouldn't, or speak up where we might not have in the past, or appreciate ourselves in ways that we couldn't have if we didn't go through something. So, and then, well, and then it's possible to, I think there was a song maybe in the 30s. So these are not new ideas. Song in the 30s, accentuate the positive, de-emphasize the negative, and there's no room for Mr. In Between. So yeah, you don't want to give yourself false reassurance, things like that. And you don't have to, because there is, the thing about a silver lining in a cloud. I mean, these are old thoughts, they can be meditated on. You can sit with a situation and say inside yourself, just show me some benefit in this. And you can even project forward, because I mean, we've all seen movies, we've read some books, we know people who've grown through situations. We know that things can come out in different kinds of ways, and people can capture growth experiences even while they're happening. And then there are some of us who are, I'm a work in progress, and it's certainly my aim to see, something of really great benefit, even going into a difficult situation and being okay with that. I mean, I have a teacher who went through a horrific accident where she broke a lot of bones in her legs and ankles, and she came through it. And after that, she said, you know what? I can handle anything. Bring it on. And I can't say I'm up to that. It is very appealing, though, I have to say, to have the thought that it's possible to face things in ways within ourselves where we're not hooked on to duality, where we have some kind of an equanimity, an evenness, no matter what the situation is. So I'm working on that.
Me too. Me too. I do find, since my daughter passed, I said, no matter what comes at me, I have an inner knowing now, just a knowing. And I don't know how things will always work out, but I know now, if I can walk through that, for me, what else can, happen? I mean, I'm not afraid. I used to be a very terrified person. I didn't think I could take care of myself. I didn't think I could manage in life. I grew up not liking myself. I mean, I've learned to love myself with Ellen, who helped me, because she saw things in me I couldn't see. I could not see myself till someone else, like a friend Ellen, helped me see what she saw. What are you seeing? So I'm still a work in progress. However, I'm at a point in life, where there is some of that where I know I can remind myself that I'm lovable, I like who I am. And if I need to correct something, I don't need to be perfect. I'm learning. I'm here to share that I've come from, ooh, who would want to be my friend? And, oh, I'm not good enough. And all this stuff that was built in. And here I am, and I'm this joyful person full of energy and love that I could share. I was always loving love, but I didn't know how to love myself. So reframing did help me learn to love and look at myself. And yes, it helped to have a partner like Ellen or whoever we find sometimes to mirror back to us what's really going on. Because I know for me, I couldn't see myself. And even now, if I can't, I can call Ellen and go, what do you see? So.
Well, for years, I witnessed all the wonderful work that you did with other people. and how you were with your kids. I use that, the way that you were, as a role model for parenting for me. And so when that huge not good enough and huge judge would be taking over, I mean, it was running things inside of you that that you were able to take, and it wasn't just my opinion. I mean, I could back up what I saw with actual situations that you couldn't deny. And we do that. We do that for other people too. Once you share a little bit of something with us, it doesn't take much for us to get a sense of what you might not see in a blind spot. That's a wonderful thing about you, that when you hear about it from somebody who you're consulting with, it's like, it's very hard for that degrading inner voice to continue in the face of the real facts. And so that's one of the ways that we get to support you and others. So thank you for sharing that, Karen.
What comes up for me is, if you're watching this video at all, you're a person who wants to feel better, or you wouldn't be listening to us at all. So you already have that sense of yourself that you may not realize. You already want to reframe.
That's great. Yeah, that's a truth. That's a truth.
Just a fact.
When that voice comes in that wants to distract me, deter me, discourage me, because you get to the point where, when that voice comes in, where you can, talk back to it with a reframe. I'm sorry, that's not true, because this, and this are going on, and this, and this, I've been working on that. And you could be surprised that then that voice shrinks up. And it's worth tackling. It's worth tackling. So what else? Anything else about reframing? I think you have to be in touch with wanting to feel better.
Yes. Yes. I have to want to feel better. I think
go ahead.
When we're hurting enough and we hit that bottom of, then we can choose to want to feel better. We search.
Yeah. The other big reframe for me, even though I was playing with it for a long time with different words, was when a teacher spoke about how we may all have been victims in one way or another in our lives. Because even as little people, we could feel victims of the tall parents, even of the most well-meaning parents, just because they're so big. And if they raise their voice, it can be diminishing even more when you're a child. And so, or we've witnessed things that happened in school, a teacher reprimanding another child in the classroom. It's happening right next to us, even though we're not the one reprimanded, and we do get the impact of that. So it's possible, and then people have been bullied or neglected, or, a variety of things, and that it's possible to grow up feeling like a victim, meaning that, we spend a lot of time finding ways to navigate that, which can be defensive and don't really work for us as adults. So one of the big reframes was that we don't have to carry victim consciousness on after the actual victimization. And sometimes we carry victim consciousness on. It's a guidepost or a signal that there's a little work that we can do to break free from that. So even the victim consciousness can be viewed as useful in our growth process. And then the whole idea that we could, I mean, because sometimes I could cringe when somebody raises their voice or makes a joke about me or something like that, that at this point, I can reframe it into a growth experience, or use it, that it's a beneficial thing that I can use to let go of more shreds and threads of insecurities that I've had, sensitivities that I've had, and remaining woundedness that I might still be carrying from childhood experiences.
I second everything you just said.
So was there a particular awakening for you when something got reframed? Any particular things stand out above the others, or not necessarily so?
There's been so many reframing things in my lifetime. I'm always reframing. I mean, very recently, I reframed a thread that was coming up. The body I'm in seems to speak a lot with aches and pains at times, and it was flaring on me. And I touched that, I have a resistance in me, and it took a while. And then I heard underneath it, I don't wanna. From when I was a kid, I don't want to do it. I don't want to get up. I don't want to brush my teeth. I don't want to med. And I was like, oh my God, you've been what's crawling around underneath in me when I'm sitting in the chair and I can't wake up and I can't do anything in my body. That's what it is. And just acknowledging, oh, hi, I don't wanna. That was the old days. I do want to. I do enjoy doing my meditation and doing this and doing that. That's not true anymore. I can wake up with the I don't wanna. Already it's clearing it up. So things that happen physically can heal by reframing, by witnessing, standing back and going, I hear you. It's not relevant anymore. It was an old tape that's been playing in me. It was a survival mode, and it may have worked when I was a child and needed that survival mode, but it's not applicable to the adult. So you're never too old to learn and to use these things. And I knew I was working what's underneath. I got in touch with resistance first, but what's under the resistance? So sometimes it's a process, but each little bit that I reframe moves me to a clearer space, and up comes, oh my goodness, the judge that lurked so big in my life when I was a kid. So just by accepting and taking care of the body I'm in while it was hurting and not judging what was happening with me, left space for something, the witness to speak. There's resistance here. That reframes right away what was happening with me. Then, because of our relationship, Ellen sent me something which unhooked the I don't want So growth is a wonderful thing. That's what I believe. I mean, it gives me joy because it can only get better if we stick with it. That is a fact. I will, if you keep watching us, you'll hear it really keeps getting better and better.
So I think that is the big reframe, that whatever we're experiencing serves growth, and to consider that growth, it can get better and better, and what was the word that you used when you first started to talk about it? About growth.
Hmm.
Well, it's on the video.
On the video.
Go back a little and play it again. Those of you who are watching, we're going to do that later.
Play it again.
So we can leave you with that. So reframe everything into its wonderful usefulness for growth. And then to really know that you can delight in the growth, because it frees you up every step of the way. And so I love what you said about stick with it, because it gets better and better. So as a reminder, at the end of the video, there'll be Karen's information and my information. You're welcome to email us if we can help you in any way. And we're going to be doing a lot more of these videos, and so many other topics came out of today's talk. So we're just going to make a list and enjoy ourselves as we share with you. So thanks for joining us today. Anything you want to add, Karen? Anything you want to say to our viewers?
I'm looking forward and to leave you that we can truly be our own best friends. That's what I'd like to leave everybody with. We can truly be our own best friends.
Great, 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 great. All right. So till next time, we'll see you, and happy growing.